Okay, I'm going to continue on through the CD collection. I'm finally going to finish up the C's. I think there's three CDs left in the C section, and then we'll move on to the D's. This one may be a little shorter, depending on how long-winded I get showing these, just because you can kind of see in the back, like I have little spacers and stuff throughout the shelves, and this one just happened to have a spacer, so there may not be as many in this one as some of the other videos. First up, we have a melodic death metal band, kind of thrashy death metal out of Finland. This is Syphosis with To North and Under. I went kind of blank on the album title there for a second. This has been out for a while. It was released in 2010 on Violent Journey Records. A pretty strong album here. I believe I picked this up from Red Stream. It's been quite some time ago now. This was the last album that they released, to my knowledge, and it's pretty good. I need to backtrack and pick up some of their previous stuff as well. Kind of bought that on a almost a blind buy. I didn't check it out too much before, but I really dig that one. Next up, the next two CDs are both from the same band. This is a brutal death metal band out of Florida. This is Cystic Dysentery. With the first one is Culture of Death. This is their debut full length. I believe they had a demo or an EP or something along those lines that came out before this, but this is their actual first full length. It was released, I think, in 2012. Very strong stuff here. Um, Probably the stronger of their two full lengths, in my personal opinion. But I do dig this one quite a bit. Kind of a throwback kind of sound mixed in with their very heavy, brutal death metal sound, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And then we have Cystic Dysentery with Homicidal Suicide. This is the newer of the two full lengths. This one's not bad. I picked this up from Force Fed merch. I believe I got a shirt with this when I ordered it as well. Pretty good. I do like the previous one a little bit more, but this one is still a pretty good album as well. I could throw either one of these in and get the neck exercises in and be perfectly happy with either of those. Moving on, finally we make it into the D's. This is a album that I picked up, I guess an album that I picked up from Paragon Records not too terribly long ago. I believe this came out last year through War March Records. This is a Colombian black metal band entitled, I'm going to butcher this, Dainam, with Portal Cosmico. And as kind of that title, it's in Spanish, obviously, because they're out of Colombia. Has the little War March records there on the inside of the digipack. As that album title kind of alludes, it's just kind of cosmic black metal, kind of straightforward black metal, not too over the top atmospheric. There are a few little atmospheric almost passages going in through it, but it's just not over the top with that. But I was quite impressed with this. That album artwork is what let me in to check that out, and I've been pretty impressed with a lot of things that I've found through War March Records as of late. There's a lot of pretty strong South American bands on that label that I've heard so far, so that one was definitely a nice pickup. Next up, I'm pretty sure I probably got this one through Metalhead Box because it's out on Black Market Metal label. I've gotten so many great albums from Black Market Metal through Metalhead Box, and this one is no different. This is De Ephelium with Profician Digden Oct Plankton. This is Swedish black metal. This is phenomenal. It is almost a throwback to old school, that kind of old school raw, lo-fi black metal, but the production gives you that kind of lo-fi feeling without losing anything in the mix, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It has these like shrieky kind of vocals going on throughout this as well, but it was a stellar release. I did enjoy this one quite a bit. It hasn't been out too long. I'm thinking it came out maybe last year through Black Market Metal, but just killer release there out of Sweden. Next up, this is an album. It's in this little thin line case because I only have the front liner and the CD for it. I got this forever ago, at least 10 years ago, at the very least, probably longer than that. I used to have this in a big CD binder. I actually took it. That CD binder, funny enough, was stolen at one point, and I lost everything in it. This is one that I had taken out of that CD binder because I didn't particularly like it at the time, and I knew that this is something that I might circle back to later, and I just didn't feel like I was ready for this album yet when I first heard it, if that makes any sense whatsoever. This is Culted with Below the Thunders of the Utter. Okay, let me try that again. Culted with Below the Thunders of the Upper Deep. This is Blackened Doom. Very, very dark, haunting, almost scary type stuff. This was released through Relapse Records, and I just, the first time I heard this, I didn't like it at all, but there was something in my mind that was like, just put this aside. Usually when I don't like something that much, I either move it on, pass it on to somebody else. You guys know. And something just told me to hang on to this, and I'm glad that I did. And I revisited this not just too terribly long ago. It just sat on the shelf, and I kind of forgot about it. Revisited this, and I absolutely love this now. And I'm glad that I hung on to that. And now that sour taste that I kind of had for that band that was in my mouth for this band is gone, and I want to pick up some of their other material after revisiting that. So I'm very glad that I kept that in my possession. Next up, this is a band you're not going to be able to pick up the artwork because it is so dark. A band kind of shrouded in mystery. I believe they say they're out of the Netherlands. It's a black and death metal project entitled Doth Shadow, and the name of this release is Crown for Kings. You can kind of pick up some of that artwork maybe, but it is very, very, the print on that is very, very dark. There's the back. This is crazy. It's like a mix of grim, cold black metal with almost asphyx type riffage going on. There's, I believe, two main vocalists in this band as well. So you kind of get the contrast in the actual vocals. The band members are all using pseudonyms or aliases, I guess, as their names in this. They never revealed their identities, but this is the only release that they put out, but that is a killer release there. I do enjoy that one quite a bit. Next up, we have a band off of Willowtip Records. I believe this was their latest full length that they put out. This came out in 2017. This is I can't pronounce anything today. De Museum with Thy Ungodly Defiance. Blistering death metal. Obviously, you can tell through that it has some blackened almost themes going on. Earlier on in this band's discography, they did kind of have that blackened vibe going. This album in particular kind of leans more to straightforward death metal, that just blistering, fiery, almost like a rebellion, black metal, even maybe some Christian influences going on in this. The blackened themes are definitely still there. There are little hints as well of the black metal, but for me, this is just like fiery, blistering, straightforward death metal. Next up, this is in a little sleeve. I think this was just released in this sleeve. I don't know if they actually ever did like a jewel case or a full-fledged digi for this or not. I've only seen it in this particular sleeve. This was released through Ossuary Industries, and I think they put out a full length after this, but this is the only one that I own from this band. This is Dagra with Nil. This is some pretty stellar grindcore. It's 14 tracks long, so as grindcore goes, it is a full length considered, but it seems like it goes by very, very quick. I believe the band is out of Texas. Not entirely sure on that one, but it is a good release. I haven't listened to this one in a while, but I remember, I think it was Josh Armijo did a review on this when it came out, and that kind of led me to checking that out, and I'm very glad that I did. Next up, this one is a way huge throwback. I can remember listening to this one back when I was in college, and having a few with some friends of mine back then. This is a Damage Plan with Newfound Power. I have not listened to this album in probably at least 10 years. It's probably now just still in the collection for almost nostalgia purposes. Musically, it's not the best album, but you've got Dimebag and yeah, so it's a shame what happened, but that that one will probably just stay just because there's some memories tied up in that particular album. Next up, this is one of the few 2021 releases that you'll see, at least through this portion of the CD collection. I don't know why this one got filed away already, because I try to keep my new releases separate. This one is an EP that came out pretty early in the year. That's probably why it got filed away. I got this through Life After Death. This is a Dangerous Mutation with Ripped in Half. Pretty good, kind of thrashy death metal, as a lot of the Life After Death lineup tends to be. I believe they put out a full length also this year. This is probably at least the digital portion of this release probably came out, I would say, around January. So, but it is a pretty strong release. I don't have that full length. I want to get my hands on that, but they may still have some copies of this available on Life After Death. And if you're into that kind of old school thrashy death metal sound, you might want to check in on this one, because you might dig that. Next up, this is a grindcore band featuring the Guttural Monk, good old Pete. He doesn't do a ton of videos anymore. He'll jump in probably at the end of the year and do his end of the year list and that type stuff. But he is pretty active on Instagram, and when he posts something like a video or something, it garners your attention just because he's so knowledgeable. This is Danny Tanner with the Never Ending Process. Just some fun, kind of goofy, grindy goodness here. He was nice enough to send me this. It's been a little while now. I hadn't been on YouTube just too terribly long when he sent me a little care package that this was a part of. A pretty fun release here. We will see some more of bands featuring Pete later on in this as we march through the CD collection. Next up, we have a Dantesco. I guess that's how you pronounce that, with We Don't Fear Your God. This is kind of a mix of traditional heavy metal mixed with almost epic doom. I believe this band is out of Puerto Rico. I got this from Metallic Media back when Metallic Media was still around and running their distro and store, and actually putting out some releases through that Metallic Media banner. This was released on Inframundo Records. I'm assuming they're probably out of Puerto Rico as well, but I purchased this from Metallic Media back in the day. This is the only release that I own from this band. I would like to pick up some more of their stuff, because this is pretty strong. It's a nice little mesh up of doom and traditional heavy metal. They kind of marry those genres together pretty flawlessly on that release. So that is the only one that I've actually heard from them, and I know they have several full lengths out. So at some point I would like to revisit that band and look at some picking up some more of their discography. The next several albums are all from the same band, same guy. This is a Danzig. This is the first one, the self-titled. I enjoy Danzig, especially the first three albums, quite a bit. I haven't listened to them in a while now, but the first three are probably my favorite albums that he put out. This is the second one, Danzig II, Lucifuge. This is probably the strongest, in my opinion, of all of his material. I've seen Danzig live twice, it's always kind of fun. I know that he's kind of a prima donna. I know he has this kind of aura about him. It's fun for me to see him live and see how early he's going to cut the concert short because he's got something to complain about, and it's always a different excuse every time. And I don't know. I think it's just part of the show at this point. Then we have Danzig Ii with How the Gods Kill. Because both times that I've seen him, the concert was cut short. One time it was because the he blamed it on the security guards not letting the fans either crowd surf or mosh. It was something ridiculous. And then I think the other time somebody threw something apparently, or I don't know, I don't remember. Then we have the EP from Danzig, Thrall, Demon Sweat Live. There's only three actual like tracks, and then there's some live tracks. There's three like studio tracks on this, and then the live tracks. It's still a pretty decent little EP though. Then we have Danzig 4. I've also heard this one titled like 4P. I've always just called it 4 because that's the only thing that I see. It like on the spine, it just says Danzig 4. So this one's pretty good as well. After this one, I kind of fell off picking up the material. Like 5 and 6, and I think 777. I didn't get those. I only have two other Danzig albums. I have the Death Red Sabbath. I actually saw him on this tour. I picked this one up at the show. There we go. There's a demonetization on the inside of that cover. Actually, that's why I picked that one up. And then I ordered this one, I think last year. It might have been last year on the Nuclear Blast Black Friday sale. They had this for like $1 or $2, and it's not very good. This is Danzig with Skeletons. This is probably, I listened to it one time, and I was done with it. It was, I don't know, it was not very good. Apparently he has an album. I just haven't been following Danzig just too terribly close these days, but I think I've heard that he has an album out now where he's like covering Elvis songs, and he's actually done a tour singing Elvis songs. I would kind of like to hear that. I don't know how well. I mean, he's always been referred to as Evil Elvis, but I don't know. I would like to hear his take on some of those. So that's something I'm going to have to look up at some point. Next up, we have a German power metal band. This is just the EP. I think this EP came out in 1995, and this CD is in stellar shape for having come out that long ago. This is Dark at Dawn with the Oceans of Time EP. They have 4 or 5 full lengths that came out following this. This is the only release that I own from them, and it is that early EP. It's a pretty strong EP as well. I do dig this. At some point, I may try to hunt down those full lengths. I'm afraid that they're going to be very pricey. I don't remember how this one ended up in my collection, to be honest with you. I do enjoy it. I'm glad it's here. I don't know if it came in that big VCLT that Marty sent me, or that I picked this up on eBay with some other stuff. Sometimes when they do the combined shipping, I'll throw in some stuff, even do some blind buys if it's worthwhile, just because of the combined shipping. This could have come from one of those. I know that there was one that had some older albums, auction style, that were all ending, and they were all ending at like 50 cents and $1. I may have thrown that one in on one of those. I really, my memory is kind of escaping me on that one. Next up, we have some more death metal out of Florida. This one, they kind of lean towards the brutal side of things. Very chuggy, brutal. I like this album quite a bit. This is Dark Disciple with Unholy Hate Gore. They are out of Florida. This was released on Morbid Records out of Germany, but the band themselves, I believe, are out of Florida. I think they were located maybe Chicago, somewhere along those lines, before they packed up, and I think they made the move to Tampa. But that even coming from somewhere else into Tampa, that Tampa sound is pretty pretty apparent and present in their music here. But I dig this one quite a bit. Next up, this is a band that I ended up selling off all of their albums except for this one, and I kind of have some seller's remorse at this point. And this one is probably the weaker, the weakest of their full lengths. The one that I still have. Maybe no one wanted this one. I don't remember, but why this one's still here. At some point, I may go back and re-add the material back into the collection. This is Dark Fortress with Profane Genocidal Creations. Like backtracking now and like revisiting the material, I wish that I kind of held on to it. The inside of this one is funny. On the CD, it's Dark Fortress, but it looks to me like it says Darf Fortress. I've always found that a bit amusing. But as their full lengths go, this one's not bad, but it is probably the weakest of their. I think they probably have like five or six full lengths, and this is probably the weakest of all of those that they have. But it's not bad. I can, if I get to missing this Dark Fortress too bad, I can always pull that one off and revisit it until I ever decide to put them back in my collection. And this is another album that has kind of stood the test of time in the collection. It's the only one that I own from this band, unfortunately. This is Dark Funeral with Diabolus Interium. You've all seen this album art, that kind of goofy demon looking thing album art, way too many times. Most of you watching this video are familiar with this album anyway, but good stuff here. This one has been in the collection quite some time. I don't know why I haven't ever decided to add more Dark Funeral into the collection. At some point I probably will. It's just lately, especially like with the Seven Deadly Spin series and stuff, it's hard to backtrack and pick up older stuff because I have so much new stuff kind of flooding in. But that's all for this one. On the next one, we'll continue on through the D's. We'll probably be on the D section for a little while as well. I will see you guys soon, I promise.